pieces of legislation. What we're trying to get to is something that has been done 78 times since 1960, is raise the debt limit. That's something that Congress has done. You know, we're talking about, when you're talking about what's happening, what this manufactured crisis, this would be the first time that we could potentially default. And we should not be doing that. This is not something that this nation is known for. You heard the president say over and over again, we are not a deadbeat nation. Look, we're going to let the negotiators do their job, continue to have the conversation, and we believe that there's a path forward.
So it's not taking a temporary extension off the table?
I'm just saying that that's not the conversation that we're focused on. The conversation that we're focused on is dealing with a budget negotiation that is bipartisan and that is reasonable. That's what's important right now, and continuing to call on Congress to raise the debt limit or to do their job. Simple. Go ahead.
Karine, on the debt ceiling, is there a drop dead? I mean, big surprise, right? Is there a drop dead date where, you know, after which it becomes impossible to enact the legislation that's necessary? You know, so do you have to have a deal tonight, tomorrow? You know, is Friday enough time to get to that potential X date?
No, I get this. I get the question. Look, our country has never defaulted on its debt, and it never will. And that's kind of our focus, right? We've never done this, and we will never this will never happen, right? That's the way we see this, you know, that's going to be our focus. That's the answer that I have for you on that piece.
Can you say a word about contingency planning in terms of, you know, special measures? The Treasury is taking extraordinary measures. There are additional novel approaches that have been described by various think tanks or economists or experts. Would the president prefer some, you know, extra or additional extraordinary measures to having to invoke the 14th Amendment?
So, as it relates to the 14th Amendment, the president has been very clear. That is just not the answer here. The answer here is for Congress to do its job, like they did 78 times since 1960. That's the answer. As it relates to the X date itself, that's something that the Treasury Department will do. That's clearly on their watch. That is something that they will focus on. And so I'm just going to leave it to the Secretary. I believe she did an interview earlier this morning. And so I would refer you to the Treasury Department on this particular question.
Specifically on Amanda Gorman's poem being banned in Florida elementary school. Do you have a comment on that move?
Sure. So look, the president was proud to have Miss Gorman, the youngest inaugural poet, speak at his inauguration, as you all know, just a little over 2 years ago. As Miss Gorman said herself, the poem, "The Hill We Climb," was written so that all young people would see themselves in a historical moment. And the president and his administration certainly stand with her, as he was, again, very proud to have her at his inauguration. Banning books is censorship, period. That's what that is. When you ban a book, you are censoring. It limits American freedom, Americans' freedom. And we should all stand against that type of act when it comes to banning of books. Okay.
Yesterday, you said that everyone is working in good faith, and you said today's briefing that the House Speaker is working in good faith. We spoke to the hostage taking and saying it quite hard out loud now. Do you think that other congressional Republicans are working in good faith? And what do you say to congressional Democrats who feel cut out of the process and feel like Republicans have taken control of the narrative?
So look, I can't speak to other Republicans. They can speak for themselves. You can see their quotes and what they have said, and we've been certainly reporting that. So I'll leave their words, let their words speak for themselves. I'll leave that there. Look, as it relates to other Democrats, look, the president is fighting to protect clean energy manufacturing. He's fighting to protect student debt relief and to lower costs for prescription drugs and to save the government money. That is what he is fighting for. He's fighting against proposals that take away people's health care and push people into poverty. And so the president has been very clear on that. He'll continue to do that, but it is important to have these types of budget negotiations. It is important in those budget negotiations to, again, make sure that we have a bipartisan, reasonable budget agreement that both Democrats and Republicans can support in the House and in the Senate. And so that's going to be the president's focus.
And on the U-Haul truck, you said yesterday that the president had been briefed on that. Has the president been briefed since, or has the White House learned any more about the suspect's alleged interest in Nazis and Hitler?
So look, I don't have anything more to share. The president certainly has been kept up to date. As I said yesterday morning, he was briefed. He was given a briefing from Secret Service and also the Park Police of what they know so far. He was relieved to hear that no one was hurt that night, and he was very complimentary and grateful to the agents and law enforcement officers who quickly responded. And so anything else, any details or information about the particular individual, I would have to refer you to the U.S. Secret Service. I just don't have anything in more details to share. Good, Karen.
Thanks. Speaker McCarthy continues to criticize the president for not meeting with him for 97 days to talk about these issues. Given how close we are to this June 1st deadline with no deal at this point, does the president have any regret for not engaging with McCarthy over that time?
We've been very clear, Karen. I appreciate the question, and I know what the speaker has been saying, but we've also been very clear for the past several months of where we are and what's at stake and how important it is for Congress to do their job, their constitutional duty. We've been very clear for months and months. And look, the president put his budget out on March 9th. He laid out in a very clear way on how he sees his values, right? We talked about values here in the president's quote about that, and how he sees the economy moving forward to help the American people. We put that out on March 9th for not just Americans to see, but for certainly for House Republicans in Congress to see. And so they put out their budget or passed their budget on April 26th, and a few days after that the president started the budget negotiations, and that's what he laid out. That's what he said he was going to do, put out his budget, asked the House Republicans to put their budget. They didn't pass it until April 26th. After that we started the budget negotiations. And so again, been very clear about this, and at the same time holding the line and saying how important it is for Congress to do their jobs, to do their constitutional duty.
Will the president commit to staying in D.C. until they reach an agreement, or will he travel over the holiday weekend?
So look, the president will be wherever he needs to be to secure a reasonable bipartisan deal to prevent the economic catastrophe that Republicans are threatening, this manufactured crisis. And so that is what he's going to do. He'll do that wherever he needs to be. I'll note a couple of things on his schedule so you all are aware. I think you all are tracking this. He will be participating in a wreath-laying ceremony and delivering the Memorial Day address at Arlington National Cemetery. That's what he'll be doing on Monday, on Memorial Day. As always, he will receive regular updates from his staff and keep in touch with members of Congress. And he is president wherever he needs to be, and that's what you're going to see from this president.
Do you have any comment on the Federal Trade Commission investigating whether baby formula makers colluded on bids for state contracts? Is there any concern about the stability of the formula market?
So I don't have any comment to make at this time, so I'll just leave that there. Okay, Peter.
A couple quick questions. I'll leave some of the other questions related to the potential for default to others. But there is a new COVID wave in China right now that's getting a lot of attention. How closely is the U.S. tracking this new wave, and is there any conversation right now about potential travel restrictions, or would that not be necessary given the U.S. has already experienced this variant, it seems?
So look, I'll do your last question first. There's no changes of travel that I will be announcing from here. Don't have any conversations to speak of at this time. Of course, we're always monitoring. That's something that we do when things like this occur, but just don't have any update for you at this time.
Does the U.S. feel like it's getting accurate information as it relates to this COVID wave from China?
So look, it's not a conversation that I've had with our teams here, so I can't give an official comment on that, but certainly this is something that we continue to monitor. I just don't have anything to preview or to announce at this time.
And within the last hour, we learned that Tina Turner passed away. She was 83. Clearly a surprise to you. I didn't know if the White House had any heads up or if the president had any comment, but I'll give you time to warn that.
Look, that is the first time I'm hearing that. That is incredibly incredibly sad news. Tina Turner was an icon, a music icon who had many stages and many amazing moments in her career. Very sad to hear the news. I was a huge fan of Tina Turner. As you can see from my reaction, that is the first that I'm hearing of it. And it is a massive loss to the communities that loved her, and certainly to the music industry. And her music will continue to live on. Very sad news. Our hearts go out to her family and her friends on their loss. Okay, I'll go to the back. Go ahead, Ed.
Thanks, Karine. So on the debt ceiling, you used words like catastrophic and devastating today, but the president, again, is going to Camp David this weekend and then going to Delaware. If the situation is so dire, then why is the president?
Well, I already answered that question. So you have another one?
But more specific.
I literally just answered that question.
He came back from Japan.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
Any other question?
No, that's it.
Okay, great. So keep going. Go ahead, sir.
When's the
Go ahead.
last time that, has the president and the speaker spoken since Monday? And if not, when are they expected to maybe speak and engage one-on-one again?
So I don't have any conversation to preview at this time. Look, the president and the speaker will speak when the time is right, when the time is necessary to do that. We are giving, I've said this moments ago, we're going to give the negotiators some time to have a conversation, to continue to negotiate. We believe the talks are moving in a productive way, and so I'll leave it there.
What does that time look? I mean, is there sort of a specific sort of
There's
narrowing that has to happen before the two?
There's no timeline to throw at you or to lay out to you. I'm just saying that it's been productive. They're here meeting right now. They started around noon today. We are hosting, as you know, the negotiations today at the EOB, at the office of, at the OMB offices, and so we'll leave it there, continue to give them the space. Go ahead, Owen, way in the back.
Karine, thank you. Good afternoon. Two separate questions for you. One on Senator Tuberville. He continues to prevent or hold up Pentagon promotions. He says the DOD's new abortion policy is illegal. And he says taxpayer dollars should not be funding abortions. And he's got a lot of support. There's a petition going around right now supporting his stance. What does the White House say to Americans who agree with Senator Tuberville?
I'll say this. I'll speak to this. Senator Tuberville he's threatening, right, our national security with his political gamesmanship. That's what we're seeing from the senator. And risking our military readiness by depriving armed forces of leadership and harming military families. That is what's currently happening. That is what the senator is threatening here. So we urge him to drop his holds on that he has currently on DOD nominees immediately, and that's what you'll hear from us.
And a separate story here, and this is one that's really caught the eye of a lot of Catholics and Christians, and frankly, they're hurt by this. The LA Dodgers are honoring a group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence during a Pride Night game next month. The Archdiocese of LA, Catholic leaders there, say the group mocks the Catholic faith and women religious who serve the poor and sick, and is asking all Catholics to stand against bigotry and hate in any form. The president is Catholic, we all know. What is his reaction to this story, please?
Look, I appreciate the question, Owen. I'm just not going to get into the middle of who a sports team is going to honor or should not honor. That's just not something that I'm going to get in the middle of.
The president has made it, it's very important to him, religious freedom. He's issued statements on it in the past saying all people of all religions should be treated with equal dignity and respect. I know what you just said there. You kind of want to stay out of it, but isn't this a prime example of something like that?
I'm just not going to get in the middle of who a sports team decides to honor or not honor. That is not going to get in the middle of that. But appreciate the question. Go ahead, Jackie.
One off topic first. What do you all make of Hillary Clinton defending Dianne Feinstein over questions about her age, but not defending President Biden for the same questions about his age?
So I have not heard these comments, so I can't speak to it.
Okay. Moving on. CNN poll shows 60% of Americans are looking for or would support cuts to spending along with raising the debt limit. Have you seen that polling, and what do you make of that?
So look, this is what I believe Americans understand. They understand that they want to make sure that the government, that we are working for them, right? We're working on making sure that millions of jobs don't get lost, that we protect their retirement accounts, that we make sure that we don't lose the gains that we've made in the last 2 years as far as manufacturing jobs, as far as seeing unemployment at its lowest rate, 3.4%, creating 12.7 million jobs. Those are the gains that we've made, and we understand that the Americans understand that wholeheartedly. Look, this is a president who has not taken a back seat when it comes to deficit reduction. $1.7 trillion that he's been able to cut the deficit by in the first 2 years. That is a historic record. You put that on top of the $3 trillion over the last 10 years in that budget that he put out on March 9th. This is a president who understands how important it is to cut spending. That's why he also talked about wasteful spending, right, that we're seeing, those subsidies that we are seeing that big oil and big pharma get, and making sure that we get rid of those subsidies. And so he understands what the American people are looking for. They made that very clear. They've made that very clear in the last election, and so that's what the president's going to continue to focus on.
Treasury started reaching out to federal agencies to see if they can slide any payments in early June, which would effectively allow Treasury Secretary to push back the X date by more time. Has the White House at all been coordinating with Treasury on that? Is that something the White House want to see, that date moved?
We're not coordinating with the Treasury Department. That is there for their decision to make.
And then last one, Kevin McCarthy's had dozens of gaggles and press conferences about this. Is that at all instructive to the president, who has been somewhat media shy, in terms of controlling the narrative here around this?
I feel strongly by saying this. The president is certainly not media shy. He would disagree with that characterization of him. He has been talking about. He spoke to this on Monday. He spoke to this on Sunday when he was in Japan. And the president has been very clear where he stands on what Congress should be doing, which is dealing with the debt limit, something that is their constitutional duty. He's been very clear by speaking through his budget that he put out on March 9th on what he sees the value of this country, how he sees moving forward with the economy, an economy that he helped put back on his feet by the successes that we have seen as far as 12.7 million jobs, low unemployment rate at 3.4%, manufacturing boom, and that's all happened under this president because of the economic policy that he's had. Folks, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you.